So what we're going to look at today is one of the most powerful features of KeyPay, and it's the pay conditions engine that we've got built in. We're going to take a look at quite a number of components within KeyPay and show how the pay conditions engine ties it all together. Probably the most important part of the pay condition engine is understanding how the rules work and then how those rules interact with other components within the system. So there's quite a lot to cover today. As I said, if you've got any questions, just put them in the chat and we can go through those as they come up. Pace is going to be pretty quick today, so if things do go too fast, definitely let us know about getting a copy of the webinar, and if we need to, we can review this in an upcoming session as well. So what I've got here is I've got a file already set up. So unlike the introduction webinar, I've already set up this file and we're good to go. I've added a couple of employees, and now what I want to do is set up these employees so I can start getting them to enter in their timesheets and then getting KeyPay to interpret what they should be paid based on the hours that they've entered. So to be able to do that, KeyPay has a feature called pay conditions, and what I should point out before we get started is that pay conditions comes as part of the KeyPay Plus plan, and you can work out if your business is on the KeyPay Plus plan by going into business settings, and under the subscription page here on the left, you can see that you'll be able to see here if you're on KeyPay Plus. So we've got two plans. We've got the KeyPay Standard plan and we've got the KeyPay Plus plan. The Plus plan has, in addition to pay conditions, we've also got employee scheduling, and you do have the ability to access pre-built awards as well. What the pre-built awards are basically the things that I'm going to show you today, but just pre-packaged so you don't have to do all the manual setup. But what I'm going to show you is how you can set it up for your own business. So you have the option of choosing the pre-built awards or setting up your own pay conditions if one of the awards that we offer isn't already there. So the way that it works is with each employee, when you set up a normal employee, KeyPay will, by default, it won't try and work out what their overtime rates are. It won't try and work out what their loadings are or anything like that. It will basically take raw timesheets when an employee enters timesheets and import them straight into the pay run. So for that to, which is helpful in itself, but it isn't overly helpful in terms of once you start getting into more complicated pays of allowing employees to be paid based on things like, even just simple things like overtime, or ensuring that they're paid the right rates on a Sunday or a Saturday and those sorts of things. And that's where our pay conditions can really help out in that area. So the first thing that we want to do is just make sure that we've got timesheets enabled for our business. And to do that, again, under the business settings section, over here on the left under timesheets, we just need to select a timesheet service. So for this one, we do have a couple of timesheet options available, but for this one, I'm going to go with the integrated timesheet options. And that just means that you're going to be using the inbuilt KeyPay timesheet feature for employees to enter their timesheets. Now they can enter it via the employee portal, their timesheets via the employee portal, or they can enter, or you can enter them on their behalf if you don't want employees entering their timesheets. So the way that it works is employees will enter their timesheets. The timesheets will then come through the pay conditions rule set, and then that rule set will interpret those pay conditions and determine what earnings need to be paid to the employee within the pay run. So now that we've turned on timesheets, I've already set up the employees. We've turned on the timesheets, and now we're ready to start creating a rule set which will allow us to build some rules around how an employee can get paid. So the first thing so to build our rule set, the first thing we need to do is click on the rule sets option down here on the left, and it's letting us know that we don't have any rule sets created at the moment. So I'm going to create a rule set now, and there's a couple of things that we need to we just need to be aware of when we're creating a rule set. So we obviously have to provide a name. The name can be obviously something that describes the rules that you're going to apply. So in this case, I might put in casual. So if I'm running a hotel, or if I'm running a bar or something like that, I might come up with the casual bar staff rule set, and this will contain all the rules for paying casual bar staff. I also need to provide a rule set period. Now, this is important for things like with some awards, people are allowed to accrue overtime. For example, if they work more than 38 hours within a period, and it depends on whether it's a monthly period or a fortnightly period or a weekly period. So for this one, I'm going to go weekly, and say that the period ends every Sunday. So that's a pretty straightforward setup. So again, so what the rule set period applies to is any hours that work within, so in this case, a week, and every week, and it's going to take the week as being from Monday to Sunday. So if you are building rules that require things like overtime ending on, whenever they work more than 38 hours in a period, this is how you set up how long that period is going to be. The last thing that we've got here is a thing called shift consolidation. And what this is for is if you have an employee that works, say, across two locations, and they might work in two different areas. So they might work within the front of house bar for, or they might, So if your business has two bars and they work in the first bar for the first part of their shift, and then they work in the second part of the bar for the second part of the shift, when they enter their timesheets, they would actually enter in two timesheets. But you want them to be treated as one shift within KeyPay. So you can do that so you can consolidate shifts that finish within a certain period of each other. So I'm going to say consolidate shifts that finish within 10 minutes of each other. So what that will do is it'll treat those two consecutive shifts as if they were one shift for the purposes of rule interpretation. Okay, so once we've set up our basic pay condition rule sets, we can now actually save that, and then we can go in and start creating rules. Now, for today, because we've got so much stuff to get through, I'm only going to create a couple of rules, and I'm only going to create a couple of basic rules just to show how they apply to the pay run. But once we go into get into the rule creation, you'll see that we've got a whole heap of options available. And one of the webinars that we'll probably look at in a bit more detail later on is how to create more advanced rule sets and use some of these advanced rules. But for today's purposes, we really just want to be able to see how you can create a rule and apply those rules to an employee, and then see what effect they have on the pay run. So to start creating my rules, I just click on the Create Rules link within the rule set. It tells us that we haven't got any rules, so I can start adding a rule now. So really basic rule that we might want to apply is if the employee works more than 8 hours in a shift, they should start getting paid overtime, maybe time and a half or double time. So I'm going to create a rule, and I might call it overtime over 8 hours. We're going to apply it when the shift duration is greater than 8 hours. Then I want to apply a pay category of, so I don't have a specific casual pay category here for overtime, but I know that it's the same rate as the casual Saturday rate, so I'm going to apply the casual Saturday rate for the pay category here. So once I'm done with that rule, so basically what I'm saying here is I'm saying when the shift is longer, is greater than 8 hours, then I want to apply the pay category of the casual Saturday rate. I can also, there's a whole heap of other options as well. If I wanted to say it's a public holiday, or if I want to say, so maybe a more appropriate one would be when the day of the week is Saturday, for example. I can say apply the pay category of casual Saturday, and it'll apply the Saturday rate to any shifts that come in on a Saturday, and I might be able to call this overtime Saturday, and I can save that rule there. Another common one that you get is RDO. Employees might accrue RDO. So we might say if they work during the week, so I might create a new rule called RDO banking, and I can say when, and you can also, so another handy thing is you can apply multiple conditions to these rules as well. So I can choose an and condition, and what this allows me to do is apply create two conditions around this rule. So I can say when the day of the week is one of, so it's, if I want to make it a weekday, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, and I want to add another condition, and I say, and so I can say, and I can say, and the hours worked is over their standard hours per day. Then I might be, then what I'm saying is, so if the employee is set up to work 8 hours as their standard hours per day, rather than paying overtime during the week, so we might have an agreement that says during the week, they say on a weekday, if they work overtime, rather than getting paid overtime hours, they might be able to accrue leave instead. So I can have one unit of time in lieu per hour worked. So this is a nice way to do RDO banking, and it means that if we have, for example, so if we have employees that are allowed to bank their additional hours as opposed to get them paid overtime, we don't have to get them to enter in anything different in their timesheet. They can just enter in their timesheet, and they can say, look, I work from 9 till 6 today, and we'll bank their additional hours as well. So as you can see, you can really quickly build up some very powerful rule combinations to start building up, to make it really easy to work out how your timesheets are going to be interpreted. Like I said, there's a whole heap of rules, and we don't have a lot of time to go into all of them today. And we cater for things like public holiday, specific day of the week, the time of the day, if the shift starts and ends within certain parameters. We cater for things like if the time since the previous shift is X amount of hours, we cater for that scenario, so you can put in a split shift loading. So there's a whole heap of different scenarios that we cater for, and you can make some of these rule sets really, really advanced. So that's quite a helpful way of being able to build the rules. But the other thing is that once you've built your rules, you might want to test them to see how they get applied to a pay period. And when we, so the easiest way to test the rules is we've got a button up here and we can actually test these rules and see what effect they're going to have on the timesheets as they come in. So if I click on the test rules link, I can say the timesheet period is for the week. I can say what day it ends. So I'll say it ends on the 6th. And I can create some timesheet lines. So just to quickly show you what might happen. So if I create a 9 till 5 shift, 5 p.m. With no breaks, and I create a 9 till 6 p.m. shift, and then if I also create one on Saturday, so we'll do 9 till 4 p.m. on a Saturday. So I can see what effect. So if I pick the casual employment type, I can see what effect these rules will have on these timesheets. So if I didn't have the rules, all I would see coming into the pay run would be 8 hours of standard pay on the Monday, 9 hours of standard pay on the Tuesday, and 7 hours of standard pay on the Saturday. But now if I run this test and I use these rules, what I can see is that on Monday we get our standard hours. On Tuesday we get an hour of time in lieu that gets banked, and on Saturday we can see that the casual Saturday rate is getting applied as well. So the only thing to as you can see, it provides a really powerful way of being able to, of employees just being able to enter in their times, and us being able to then use the rules to interpret what they should be getting paid. And it really takes a lot of the manual processing out of trying to work out what employees should be paid, and it means that it makes it a lot easier for us to be compliant when we're running our payrolls. So once I've done testing, I can come back in and edit the rules. Now I've noticed one thing here is that Tuesday is actually still paying for 9 hours and putting in time in lieu of 1 hour. So what I actually want to do is come in here and edit the RDO banking rule. And you can edit these rules, and this is probably a good thing to point out, you can edit these rules at any time, and we store a draft copy of the rules. And then you can also activate these rules once you've played around with them. So you do get a bit of a sandbox so that you can come in and change these rules, play around with them, do whatever you need to, and you can either discard the rules when you're done with them, with the draft rules once you're done with them, or you can activate them, and you can also test your active rules so you can see the difference between what's happening with the active rules and what's happening with your draft rules. So what I actually want to do is I wanted to I wanted to apply multiple actions here. So what I wanted to do was, again, put my leave accrual of 1 unit of time in lieu per hour worked, and I also wanted to apply a pay category of none. And what applying the pay category of none does is that it means that the employee isn't actually going to get paid for those hours because we've already assigned them to time in lieu. So that's a really basic rule set, and that's it's probably one of the most basic rule sets. But once you start building these rules, you can really get into a lot more complicated scenarios. Even just being able to apply overtime and time in lieu or RDO banking is a pretty big time saver. But yeah, like I said, you can go through and create as many of these rules as you want. So once we're done with our rules and we're happy with them, click save. And the final thing so as you can see up here, these rules are in draft mode. The final thing you need to do is activate these draft rules. So once I activate these rules, they overwrite any rules that are currently existing against within the rule set, and they're the ones that are going to be applied to any pay runs going forward for the employees. So I'm going to activate these draft rules now, and those rules are activated. And when I come back into my rule set, I can see that these rules were activated a few seconds ago. So I know that these rules have been activated, and there's no draft rules outstanding for this rule set. So that's a quick overview of how to create rules. Once we've created those rules, the next thing we need to do is to actually apply them to our employees. So the way that we can do that is jump into the employee list. Now I'm going to apply these to I'm going to apply the pay condition to one employee and not apply it to another employee, so we can see the difference of how these come into a pay run. So I'm going to apply it to this employee here, and the way that we do it is from within the pay run default screen. So if you've done the basic, the introduction to KeyPay webinar, you'll know that this pay run defaults screen is where we set the employee's pays. We also, once we set up pay condition, once we set up a rule set, we get a new option here, which is this pay condition rule set option. And what you can do is you can actually select so I'm going to say this is the casual bar staff rule set, and you can actually set the rule set for the employee within their pay run defaults screen. And once I apply that, any timesheets that come in for the employee and get imported into the pay run are going to be run through this rule set. So I'm going to apply that now. And the next thing, so the final thing that we need to do is obviously enter in some timesheets for these employees. So like I said before, employees can either input these through the portal, or we can enter them on behalf of the employees. In this case, I'm going to enter them for the employees. So I'll come into the Manage Employees screen, come across to Enter Timesheets, and I'll click on Phil Burney, and we can see that it's for the pay period ending the 6th of April, which is the current pay period. So Monday, I'll do fairly similar to what we had before. And you'll notice that I'm just, like, as an employee, I just need to enter in the days, the hours and the days that I work. I don't have to do anything fancy where, splitting up, saying, okay, on Tuesday I actually worked, 9 till 5 standard hours, and then 1 hour of RDO banking. I can just literally put in 9 till 6 and save that. And again, on Saturdays, I don't have to say, as an employee, I don't have to know what my overtime that I'm getting paid on Saturdays for overtime. I can just put in the hours that I worked, and KeyPay will work out the rest. So there's some timesheets for Phil, and as you can see, so Phil's got the rule set applied. I'm also going to put some timesheets in for Sarah, who doesn't have any rule sets applied, and I'll put in 9 till 12, and I'll also put in one Monday for 9 till 5, and her Tuesday one I'll change to be 9 till 6 as well. So we've got two employees, exactly the same pay conditions, exactly the same, two employees, exactly the same hours worked, but just under different rule sets. And what I can now do is go in and approve these timesheets and then import them into a pay run. And once we import them into a pay run, we can have a look and see the impact that having a rule set applied has on the pay run. So jump back into the approved timesheet screen. So I've entered the timesheets. So this is for the 31st of March. I want to change it to, was it the 7th of April? I can't remember, there or thereabouts. And I can see all of these timesheets now for the 3 days for these employees. So I can approve those all at once, clicking the approve button, and now these timesheets are ready to come into the pay run. So to create a pay run, I come into the pay run screen, click new pay run. I haven't run a pay run before for this business, so I choose the period ending of the 6th, which is, and it's coming up and telling me that I've got 6 timesheets for this pay period have been found. So obviously they're the 6 from the employees that I've entered. If I now go and create this pay run, we'll be able to see the effect that the rules have on these employees. So already you can see a couple of differences. One, Phil Burney is getting paid a little bit differently to Sarah. His hours are different, even though we entered the exact same hours in the timesheet. His hours are different. If we drill down into it, we can also see that he's got a couple of different pay categories that are assigned. So he's got the casual Saturday one here from 9 till 12, as opposed to Sarah, who's just got her standard casual weekday rate for the Saturday as well. Still getting 3 hours, but it's obviously at her standard rates. So her rates are all the same. So we can see that the other difference is that time in lieu has been banked for the Tuesday as well. So one other thing, and this is just me not setting it up properly, is it's brought in this, and this is probably good to point out because it does happen from time to time, is it's brought in an additional 40 hours. And the reason it's doing that is because I didn't actually set up within the employee file. If I jump down into, so the way that you can remove that is if you jump into the pay rate screen. I've got it set up here to show those hours in the pay run, but if I untick that box, those hours won't show up in the pay run anymore. So if I was now to re-import those, so I've only done that for Phil Burney, and if I re-import these timesheets, now what we'll see is, because it's only re-importing the timesheet hours. If I delete that pay run, and if I come back and if I recreate it with those timesheets, what will happen is that that 40 hours that was showing won't show in the pay run anymore. So if I create that pay run again, create it for the 6th, the pay period for the 6th. Import the timesheets again. We can see that those 40 hours, which were the standard weeks of setup, haven't been brought in. Because I haven't turned that off for Sarah, they're still showing up, and that's why that's there. So that's just something to be aware of as well. So that's a really quick overview of how the pay conditions. I'll just delete that one. That's a really quick overview of how the pay conditions rules work, and that's and on its own, it's actually really quite powerful. But what we can do is we can use those rule sets to then build up some additional things like employee agreements. And employee agreements if we jump into the business settings, employee agreements allow you to build up these rule sets and standardize them across your entire employee base. And so you can come up with an employee agreement by coming into the business settings, going into the employee agreements section on the left here, and you can and KeyPay gives you two options with employee agreements. You can either add a custom agreement or you can add an award which has been pre-built. We'll look into adding an award that's been pre-built in a minute, but the one I wanted to look at was adding a custom agreement. Now, the interesting thing about adding a custom agreement is you can apply them to specific employment types. They also encapsulate pay conditions. So we can specify the rule set that gets applied for the agreement. So in this case, if I'm going to have casual bar staff, and I might have this as a level 1 bar staff rule set. The other things that employee agreements give you is it allows you to choose a leave allowance template. Now we haven't got any leave allowance template set up, and it also allows you to select pay rates based on their age. Now, the two things that are missing from here, which we'll go in and set up in a minute, are the leave allowance templates and the pay rate templates on this screen. Now, you can set up. Now, I don't have any pay rate set up. Now, you can set them up as many pay rate templates as you want for these age-based requirements. But you don't have to have one set up for each age. So if the age brackets are the same, you don't have to add additional. You don't have to have a page rate template for each age bracket. But see, these are just set up as a guide for the most common scenarios. So, so the really handy thing about employment agreements is it means that you can. If you've got all your staff under one agreement, it means that you don't have to be setting up rules, leave allowance and pay rates on a per employee basis. You can set them up once at a business level, and then when you have, so in this case, a new casual bar staff, a level 1 casual bar staff starting, you just apply this employment agreement to their file when they're set up, and it'll set up their rates, their pay conditions, and also their leave settings if they do have any leave settings. So the two things that are missing from here are obviously the pay rate template and the leave allowance template. So I'm going to go in and create one of each of those now, just to show you how that works. First thing I'll do is I'll create the pay rate template. Now, pay rate templates allow you to define rates. And you can do this from the pay rate templates setting over the left. But what pay rate templates allow you to do is define templates for a group of employees. They get all paid the same rate, and apply them across all of the employees that have that rate. And the nice thing about that is that if the rate changes for that employee, so if the award rate for your casual 1 bar staff changes, you don't have to go into each individual employee file to change that. You just change it in the pay rate template, and it applies across all of the employees that have that template linked to them. So I'm going to add a pay rate template here. So I'll call this, sticking with our example, casual bar staff level 1. We choose their primary pay category, so this is where their hours will be allocated to by default, and we can choose what pay rates this employee is eligible to be paid. So I'm just going to stick with the casual rates that I've got there. They can't get car allowance, they don't get bonuses, and I'm going to say that their default rate is let's say $22.50 an hour, and then KeyPay will also so for the casual rate that I've got set up here, I've got I think it's 25% loading. So I enter in their base rate, and then KeyPay works out what their actual rate is based on the loading that's been applied here. So now I click save on that, and I've got a pay rate template set up. and I can have as many of these as I want. So I can come through and I can put level 2, level 3, level different. I can have wait staff, chefs, apprentices, whatever I want. I can set up their pay rate templates from within here. I can then also, in a similar way, set up leave allowance templates. Now, in this case, a casual I'm not actually going to set up a leave allowance template for casual bar staff. I'm just going to set up a leave template for just casuals, all casuals, because I know that all casuals get exactly the same leave entitlements. And basically their leave entitlements are they get 0 annual leave, they get 0 sick leave, but they still accrue long service leave at the standard rates because it's interpreted. That's what's allowed for by their award in this case. So I can also choose if employees can apply for different types of leave from within the employee portal. I'm going to say no at the moment for casuals. They can't apply for leave from the employee portal. I click save, and then I've got my casual leave template set up as well. Again, if I come in here and if I change one of these rates, it gets applied across the board to all employees that are associated with this template. So that really that makes it really easy to manage what leave should be applied across the board for employees. So I've now got a leave allowance template and I've got a pay rate template. And what I can do is I can come back into my employee agreements now. I can go back and add my agreement and I can provide their classification. So casual bar staff level 1. I can say that this is for casual employees. I can select the pay condition rule set. I can select their leave allowance template, so it's going to be casual leave. I can set the pay rate template to be based on date of birth. Now, I've only set up one pay rate template, so this is going to be the same for all of these. Optionally, if they are going to be the same, I can delete all these as well, and they won't get applied. But I can go through and create, casual bar staff level 1 under 16, casual bar staff level 1, 16-year-old, 17-year-old, all those sorts of pay rate templates. And lots of the modern awards do provide for all of those things, so we do have to be able to cater for those. So if I click save now, that will save the employee agreement, and I'm now able to apply this employee agreement to an employee. And I do that in much the same way as I did for just the rule set, except when I go into the employee file now. So if I click on this employee and I go into their pay run default section again, things are a little bit different. So we've also got, we've now got the ability to choose an agreement to pay this employee by. And what changes is that I can actually choose the agreement that I want to pay this employee under. If I click on if I choose the agreement, a few things change. So I can say the employee, as I can see, it sets a whole bunch of things for me. It says the employee is now paid using the pay rate template for casual bar staff. They're now getting paid $22.50 an hour. It sets the job title. It sets the rule set. It says what their leave allowance template is, and pretty much, and it also sets the super threshold as well. So once I save that, these fields are not editable, and they get applied to the employee from their next pay run. But as you can see, it makes onboarding a new employee a lot easier because you just choose the agreement that they're employed under, and KeyPay will apply the rest of the settings for you. In addition, now this employee, when they get paid, they're still only entering in their timesheets, but instead of having to know when they've worked overtime or they've done particular hours at a particular location which requires a different rate or a different loading, they just enter it in and KeyPay will pick up all that stuff for you. So that's how you can, in summary, that's how you can build your own employee agreements, and how you can then apply those rules based on the rule sets that based on the rules that apply to how you pay your staff within your employees. Like I said, that was a really basic one, but what I was really trying to do is just give you an understanding of how these different components work together, and how you can use those components, so your rule sets, your pay rate templates and your leave allowance templates, to then build those up to form an overall employment agreement. So I'm just going to pause there, and I'll unmute the microphone because that's a lot of me talking, and just open it up for any questions that we might have. Yeah. So was there any questions on? I know there's a lot of stuff there, but if there's any questions, go for it. All right. Doesn't look like we've got any questions. But if you do, just type them into the chat, and I'll just continue on with the last part of the webinar that I wanted to show you for today. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to show you was the pre-interpreted awards within KeyPay, and how they can be imported into your business. With this setup, obviously there's a lot there to be involved, and setting up rule sets, setting up leave allowance templates, setting up pay rate templates. If you've got a small number of agreements, or if you've got fairly straightforward agreements, that's obviously going to be helpful for you. But if I come into the business settings, if you're working off one of the modern awards, that'll be phased in from the end of July, the end of June, the start of July. What you can actually do is come into the employment agreement section, and rather than building your own custom agreement, you can actually add an award. So if I click on the Add Award button, you can see that we've got a range of pre-built awards across a range of different industries. These, we're adding additional awards all the time, and if you're interested in a specific award, let us know, and we can let you know if we're working on it, and what the time frame is around that award. So, for example, if I was working in the hospitality industry, and I was looking at paying some bar staff, rather than building up all of those rule sets and awards and pay rate templates, I can actually just click on the Add to Business. You just have to be aware that, with these awards, we definitely do our best to ensure that they're accurate, but you still need to make sure you check the pay runs to ensure that your employees are getting paid as to the agreements. And that's basically what this disclaimer is. Once you're happy with that, click Accept, and we'll import that award into your business. Some of the awards can be quite big, so it can take a little while for the import to happen. But basically, what the award covers is every agreement. So from casual, part-time, full-time, every agreement that the employee has, we can cater for them within this business. Like I said, this is available to all businesses that are on the KeyPay Plus plan, and you can check if you're on that by going into the subscription settings. And if you do have that available, if you are on the Plus plan, you can go in and start importing awards. There's no limit to the number of awards you can import, and you can start importing those pretty much right now. so what I'll do is I'll just wait for this one to import, and it's done. So you can see now that we've got a new section up here, and it's the Hospitality Industry Award that's been imported. I can click on that, and I can see all the employment agreements that's brought in. So if I was to do that myself, it'd take a fair while. But what happens now is that I can really easily go into an employee file. I can open up the employee and come into their pay run defaults, and I can choose the award that I want to use. So I can choose the Hospitality Industry Award, and I can choose the agreement that I want to place them under. So whereas before I was just using my bar staff one, I can now say, okay, they're going to be Hospitality Level 1 Casual, and I can see that it's going to apply a pay rate that's been imported. It's going to apply the rate as per the award that's been applied from the award. I'm also going to have leave allowances all set up as per the award, and also their pay categories, and also the super threshold, which is actually a little bit lower on the standard hospitality award. So just by doing that, I can straight away make sure that by importing the employee and importing by importing the award and applying it to that employee, I can straight away ensure that I'm paying them the right rates. I've got a rule set, so the rule set that comes in is the casual hospitality rule set. I've got a rule set that's going to interpret all the appropriate loadings and everything that needs to be built and associated with that rule set. I'm pretty much good to go to start paying that employee on the award. So that is a really powerful feature, which I would definitely encourage everyone to check out and to play with, and to start moving across start moving their employees across to, because it really does make it a lot simpler to manage the paying of employees once they start entering their timesheets, and ensuring that the correct rates are being applied. So that's pretty much all we've got time for. Like I said, there's a massive amount of information in there, and it's really this is an advanced feature, and it's something that it'll probably take you a little bit of time to get used to. I'll just unmute it again for a few minutes and just open it up in case there's any questions around importing pre-built awards, or building your own employment agreements, or anything else really to do with KeyPay. All right. Doesn't sound like we've got any questions. If you do have any questions, as always, you can click on the support tab on the right. And if there's nothing in our knowledge base that helps you, you can always shoot us through an email. So always put in ADA files. Just click on this link down the bottom, type in your question, and that'll come straight through to our support team. So thanks everyone for jumping on the webinar today. A lot of info there, but if you, as I said, if you need any info, if you would like a copy of the recording, just drop us a line and we'll arrange for that to be sent out. All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks, mate.
No worries.